Magnetic Men Club. We are back here on another Friday with y'all. We do these every single Friday, so let us know if there's any topics you guys want us to cover. Today, it's all about men's mental health. We wanted to touch on men's mental health because that's been kind of the fashion for the last few weeks. We've been talking a lot about male loneliness and the problems and troubles that men face and kind of how they need to go about dealing with those different things, getting through those different things, and overcoming and thriving through those things. And so one of those things, obviously, following off of male loneliness like we did last week, that was a popular topic. So we wanted to touch on men's mental health and how it's largely discarded in today's day and age. A lot of people just simply don't care about it, whether it's men, whether it's women. I don't think there's any one particular problem to it, but it just comes down to the fact that, you know, men are told to just man up, men are told to just be men, that kind of stuff. And so we're told to like not display our emotions, not to do all these things. And I think it leaves a lot of men in a really confused place. There's a lot of men feeling like they're lost, like they're alone, like they're lonely, like nobody cares, and those kinds of things. So I wanted to touch on how men's mental health is largely discarded in today's day and age with today's topic. I'm Chase. I've got my good friend here, Jared.
Hey kids, Jared here. Hope everyone's going to have an amazing weekend coming up. And this is a great topic. I'm glad Chase is the topic upper person. He's the one that usually comes up with the topics on our weekly lives. I kind of let him deal with that just because we got our things. So this is a good segue into, I think, the last two we did. I know we did a dopamine one, and then we went into last week's one. Loneliness. And these all sort of kind of merged together in a way. Yeah. And he's 100% right. Society as a whole has never really cared about men's mental health. Now, it's perceived, I think, it has gotten worse. But I don't think it's gotten worse in the sense of how we're viewed. You know, most men are just viewed as pay your taxes, bring your check home to the wife, pay the bills, shut the fuck up and die. That's pretty much how most men are viewed. And, you know, most men operate that way. I mean, look at it's no fact, and I'm not even going to go off tangent here, but there's no fact that Corvette 65-year-old men are the biggest purchasers of Corvettes. Why? They just get retired. They want to relive their youth. They kind of want to get back to this idea of them having freedom. And sadly, within a few years, most of them can't even get out of the Corvette, and most of them are dead. And why do I say all this in relation to mental health? Is because they've worked their balls off all their life. And at the end of their life, at the end of retirement, there's no more gold watch. It's just, hey, great, your replacement is here. Your wife, you know, she still might be around, but there's really nothing left. Your good days are in the rearview mirror, you know? Right. And what we want you guys to understand is, yes, mental health, having a solid mental health is 100% your individual responsibility. And don't rely on society to help you with this. They don't care. And certainly don't honestly rely on women, because as soon as you emote to women, as soon as you can have emotions, guys, even I have a whole paid program that Chase and I are putting together, and 80% of this is centered just around this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Emotional connections, having this. You can have emotions, and I want you to express your emotions, but there's a time and a place. If you emote to your girlfriend, it's over with. She is going to view you completely different than she did before. Also, just here's a quick beta test you guys can all do. Have you ever seen a guy in a nightclub crying around the side of the road crying? Everyone looks at him like, bitch.
Sure. Yeah, no.
More crying? Oh my God, princess, what's going on? Everyone's gentle around here. It's the same emotion, but why do guys like, bitch, man up? It's because society has ingrained it in all of us that men are supposed to be X and women are supposed to be Y. And then women don't understand why. Well, why does he not open up to me? Why won't he talk to somebody? Well, what the fuck? We've just been programmed not to talk. Now you want us to talk.
Well, here's the thing, though, too, is like women are looking for foundation. Women are looking for strength. Yeah. They're looking for frame. They're looking for security. They're looking for somebody who can provide for not only them, but for their future kids, for the kids they currently have. That's what they care about. Right. And so when they have a man around them who is constantly complaining, he's out there like, I got to deal with this. I got to deal with that. I have all this stress. I have all that stress. And he's not just dealing with it in her eyes. So in her eyes, he should just deal with it. He should just be like, okay, I'm the man. I got to step up. I got to provide. I got to go do this stuff. I shouldn't complain. And that's what she's expecting. And it's not wrong in either way. It's not wrong for a man to feel like she should care more. She should appreciate it more, whatever. It's not wrong for her to think that, I need to feel secure. I need to feel safe with him. I need to feel like he's got me covered, because if he doesn't, I got to cover me. I got to step up. I got to be in my masculine, and I got to make sure that I'm getting things done. Yep. And so that's what it's like in a married relationship. Typically, when it's like boyfriend, girlfriend, it's usually going to end. Like when the guy starts acting like that, girl starts feeling that way, it's usually over. It's just, there's really no way around it. That's why you don't share your emotions with your wife, with your girlfriend. That's why you get into a program like the one we have. But that's not the only place. Like you can go and get therapy and talk to a therapist. You can go out with a night with the guys. If you have guys and you have friends in your life, then go out with them, have a chat with them, let them know what you're going through. See if one of them wants to sit down with you, have a one-on-one conversation. But you want to talk to the guys. Don't go talk to the girls, because guys know how to deal with guys' problems. Girls don't. And in a lot of situations, if a guy doesn't know you, he's not friends with you, he's looking at you like, dude, you need to step up. Like you need to man up. What are you doing? Your friend cares more about you. Your friend is going to look at you and go like, I know what you've been through. I know what you need to do. I've seen these mistakes that you've made. I've known you for a while. I know what you want. Here's what you need to do, brother. And so that's kind of the thing. When you get into a program like ours, we have a group of men, and it's only men, and we only talk about men's issues. There's no women in there for that reason. Because if there's women in there, men don't feel like they can talk about men's issues. And they're right. They can't. You cannot talk about men's issues around women. Women don't understand men's issues. It's the same thing, vice versa. I don't understand women's issues. I don't understand what women are going through. So why would I try and solve those problems? A lot of men fall into that trap too. A lot of men will listen to their girlfriend and she'll tell him all of her problems, all of her struggles, everything she's dealing with. And then he'll start trying to solve it. He'll start trying to fix it. Like, well, you just need to do this. You just need to do that. Well, if you would just do that, and that's just going to frustrate her more. Because men and women do not operate the same way. Women can help women solve men's problems. Men can help men solve men's problems. So the biggest problem I think that men face with this is lacking friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. There's the connections that men used to have, thinking back to like my grandfather's times and all this. You had deeper connections because you didn't have the internet. You didn't have... See, we're the most connected we've ever been, and our kids are going to be way more connected than we've ever been, but we're also the most loneliest we've ever been. Think of how many times you're on a meal with your kids and they're on their phone. They're connected, but they're not connected to reality. And then this is a big part of the problem. I'd say over the last, 20 years or so with social media, the rise of that dopamine hit, going into a reality that doesn't exist, but it feels good. It feels like everybody has an avatar in there. The problem is there's no connection there. No. I had something like 5,000 friends in my Facebook thing, and I thought that I'm like, I don't know freaking anything.
Same thing. Yeah.
I might know like 30, 40, like, oh, okay,
tops.
But so the idea is, we know a lot of people, but we don't really know anybody. We know what they want to show us through social media. And some of the times with men, because we are visual, we get to see in real time other men, other beautiful women on social media. They're living their best lives. And here we are. If you're a man and you're thinking that's real, it's going to make you depressed. You're like, fuck, this dude's got it all. He's got the women. This woman has it all. Look at all these hearts.
Right.
And Look at the house Jim just bought. Never really understanding that you're living his highlight reel and you're pinning against your dark times. Maybe you are going through a dark time, but everybody pins that highlight reel and they look at everyone else's life. They're perfect. What's wrong with me? Nothing wrong with you.
But it makes us feel inadequate. That's the biggest problem. It makes us feel like there's a problem with us. And like whether we understand that or not, it makes us feel like, okay, well, he just got a brand new freaking Corvette. What am I doing with my life? He just made $10,000 this last month. What am I doing with my life? He just had this huge 2-week vacation to Hawaii. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do that? And a lot of men start to feel that way because like 90% of men obviously are not living that kind of a life.
Right.
And the majority of people just kind of get lost in the woodwork. That's the biggest problem. It's hard to wake people up. It's hard to get people to a point where they start to be intentional with their actions. Most people are just completely unintentional. They don't really sit down and understand where they're going. They don't really sit down and understand where they want to be, what lifestyle they want to be living, who they want to be, who they want to be in that lifestyle. And so they just kind of let everything be automatic. It's just kind of default settings, right? So it gets to a point where like, I'm not working out because I'm just defaulting every day. I'm not eating right because I'm just defaulting every day. I'm kind of wasting all my time watching Netflix, playing video games, whatever, because I'm just defaulting every day. I don't know what to do. I'm not driven to do anything. I'm not motivated to do anything. I don't know where I want to be. I don't know what lifestyle I want to be living. And this is most people. Like most people end up in this trap where they're just like, I don't know what my life is supposed to be. I don't know what direction I'm going in. I don't know what my goals are. And so they just live this life on default.
Yeah.
When in reality, all you really need to do is sit down and think about it. Like, well, do you want to get your hair cut every week? Do you want to go to the gym every week? Do you want to have a spa day? Do you want to get massages every week? Do you want to go and buy new clothes every month? Do you want to live in a 3-bedroom house and not an apartment? Do you want to drive your own car? Do you want to have 2 cars? That's the lifestyle that we're talking about. When you start to identify all those different things that need to be in your life, you start to prioritize them for one thing. Obviously, the sports car is not the priority. Getting the house, the foundation, the security, it all comes down to the hierarchy of needs, right? We need to fall into wherever we're at in the hierarchy. If I'm not even making enough money to live every month, I don't need to be thinking about the Corvette, thinking about feeling fulfilled. I need to be thinking about how to get the bills paid. That's all I need to be thinking about. And just correcting one problem at a time and realizing that's not what your life is always going to be. Like it's not always going to be grinding unless you fail to get direction, unless you fail to get intentional with things. If you don't get intentional with what you value, like I value being in good health. I value having a nice, strong frame. I value having a good body. I value having good looks that attracts people to me. I value learning and educating myself. So when you start to set those values and say, okay, I need to be following through on these values every day. And if anything that I'm doing falls outside of that value system, I don't do it. It's that simple. I just don't do it, period. And a lot of men just can't understand how to develop that kind of discipline, I think. And a lot of them just aren't motivated to in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say this is like the younger generation problem, and it probably is more them than, say, somebody in their 30s watching this. Maybe they're not resonating with this as much because you sort of missed that social media. You sort of missed it. Like you were connected, but not the way they are now. But you still may be struggling in this area where you were maybe one area of your life you're struggling. Maybe you're kill it at business, but socially you want to find somebody, but you have anxiety around that. I don't know when you guys are watching this. The point is, and it does sound harsh, but it is, nobody really cares about the struggles you go through. Now that doesn't necessarily, that's not exactly true. Of course, your mom, your parents, your friends care, but they don't care to the extent that you should care.
It's priority.
If somebody cares more about your well-being than you do, then there's a problem with that.
It's like priority.
My girlfriend, I had a little bit of a medical thing with a high PSA. It came back fine. Obviously, she cares. She called me a couple times. I couldn't talk. She cared about my well-being, but not as much as I should be caring about my well-being.
Right.
And this is the idea that I want to kind of share to you guys. Like, people do care about you. I'm not saying nobody cares about you, but if you don't care about yourself and you don't start taking stock in what is working in your life, so enjoy those wins, but then figure out, well, what's not working? What can I do to level that part up? Instead of just sitting back and wallowing, say, I'll never get a girlfriend, or I'm just lonely, or I'm always stressed and I always have anxiety, or I'm always depressed. Maybe you're addicted to something. I don't know. Maybe you're addicted to drinking or drugs or gambling or porn. Maybe there's an addiction going on there. Possibly need to talk to a therapist about that. You could have, again, just regular relationship struggles where you don't know how to connect to even your family. So if you can't connect to them, how can you connect to a girlfriend or a boyfriend? So you almost got to really take an inventory of yourself, because it's not all bad. Even in the worst situations, when I'm coaching somebody, again, caveat to this, if they need therapy, if there's sexual trauma, abuse of any kind, if there's something where they need therapy, that's kind of where I cut off and
Sure.
you need to get therapy on this. But if it's a part of where you're at functional sort of, but you want to excel, that's where we come in. So therapy, if you guys don't understand the two differences, is it's therapist takes somebody who's dysfunctional in an area of their life and helps them get functional. That's it, just functional. Like, understand what your traumas are, maybe understanding what your attachments are. Who knows? Like, whatever it's through. And it gives this person, whatever that is, tools to understand it and maybe work with it, only to stay functional. Coaching takes that functionality and excels it. That's our job, is to take that. So as a performance coach, more relationship side, that's what we do. So if you're okay, maybe you're okay with dating, or maybe you date around, but you don't really find that connection, and that's something you want to deal with, and you have this thought that you're a loser, you have this thought that this is the best I can do, that's where we come in. Like, well, no. So
see, that's the majority of the younger guys right there. The younger guys, the biggest thing that they're struggling with is social activity. Like, that's the number one thing that I see younger guys, anybody who's like 15 years old to up to 30 years old, even up to 35 years old, the number one thing they face is they don't understand how to be social. For one thing, they don't understand how to make friends. It's very difficult for them to make new friends, for them to make lasting friends. It might not be super hard for them to jump into conversations. And I think a lot of these guys would label themselves as socially anxious. Like, a lot of them would say, like, I have social anxiety, that kind of stuff. I realized that I struggled with this stuff because, I mean, I was a guy who was there for a long time. There was a long time where I struggled to jump into sales because I just didn't believe in what I was saying enough. I didn't have enough confidence in what I was doing, what I was providing. And so, like, I just didn't think that they wanted it. Maybe they didn't need it. Maybe it wasn't the best thing for them. And so I struggled to talk to people. I just kind of, like, I let all of my doubts get to me. And I realized that everything that I was thinking about myself and everything that I was doubting in myself, I was projecting out onto everybody else. I was thinking that everybody else was thinking that about me.
Right.
I was thinking my mom was thinking that about me. My friends are thinking that about me. The guy at the store is thinking that about me the first time he looks at me. And that's what was going through my head. Like, I literally started to think that, like, nobody cares about me. Nobody cares about what I'm going through. Nobody even, like, but the reality is they do care. It's just that a lot of people are not in the position that you want them to be in to help you the way that you think that you need to be helped, because that's your job. And at the end of the day, they're worried about themselves. They're worried about their own problems. Like, we get taught by the media and school so often that we should care more about other people than ourselves, like that we shouldn't be selfish.
Right.
But it's the wrong outlook, because we start caring more about how other people are excelling and what other people are doing than ourselves. And that's a big problem, because the biggest thing with that is the fact that, like, I noticed this with my wife when I was trying to like go through a lot of my own self-development. I started this up in like 2019, 2020, really started getting into self-development to understand like how I could change my life, how I could change myself. Because dude, I was a beta simp. Like back in 2017, 2018, 2019, I was a beta simp. Like I just laid over and let the world happen to me. I just kind of let my marriage be whatever it was going to be. And I'm like, well, I'm faithful and I'm here and I'm showing up. So she should be faithful too. And I'm not putting in the work. And like, it wasn't like, there was just knowledge that was lacking in me. I just didn't understand how to approach it. I didn't understand what that meant to other people. I didn't understand how I was coming off to other people and the energy that I was putting in everything. Dude, I was constantly complaining. I was constantly nagging, and people started to avoid me because I was always complaining about how nobody cared. I was always complaining about the things that I did that nobody else did. And then I started to look at everybody else like, well, what are you doing? You're not working out every day. And so I started looking at my wife and I'm like, okay, well, you're not working out every day. You're not getting up on time. You're not doing this. But those are things that I was mad about myself. Yeah. I was mad at myself because I wasn't getting up and working out. I wasn't getting up and putting in the work. I wasn't doing the things that I should do. And I was pointing fingers at everybody else. And I was thinking that everybody else is thinking that about me. And I was just trying to validate it all. And it just ended up being this vicious cycle that left me with no friends and no real relationships at the end of it all.
Yeah. So what did you end up doing? What was a first step
that's just it? Yeah.
You started? What was your first step so that maybe somebody watching this either live or whenever they see this and that resonates with them? How did you make that shift from not so much beta, but like you were just socially conditioned? Was it a book that you read? Was it a phrase that you heard? Explain.
It was a combination of things that really woke me up. And it took a lot of time. It took like 3 years for me to really read, sort through it, understand it, and then start to like kind of distill it into what I've built this program into. To like, because like I said, I wanted to build a program for me to overcome these things, for me to start to get on top of these things, for me to have a better relationship with my wife, for me to start to make friends. And so those are the things that I really prioritize and the things that matter to me. So those are the things I started to dig into information on. So I read a couple books. Obviously, I got into a couple different programs. The first step was getting into this manifestation program. I really wanted to think in abundance. I wanted to think about being positive, how I could have a positive demeanor and disposition on things. And so I got into this manifestation program. It was $50 a month. And I'm like, oh my God, $50 a month? I'm like, are you kidding me? There's no freaking way. $50 a month for this crap? There's no freaking way. I remember that's where my mindset was. But eventually I'm like, I know it can help me. I know it will help me. Like, I know this guy can get me doing the things that I need to do every single day.
Yeah.
So, okay, fuck it. $50. Put it down on it. We started paying $50 a month. I got into the program. I started taking action on it. I'm like, dude, I paid $50 for this. I'm getting every last minute of it. I'm getting every last second. Every freaking material that he puts into it, I'm downloading all of it. It's all mine. I'm paying $50 for this. And so that's where my mindset was. And I started to realize, oh, crap, I got a bad money mindset. I think $50 is a lot of money. Oh. And then I started to realize, okay, I need to expand that. Okay, $100 is a lot of money. $500 is a lot of money. $10,000 is a lot of money. And I remember back then, I made $2,000 a month at my job. I was making $20 an hour at the IRS. I'm making $2,000 a month. I'm making about $1,000 per paycheck after taxes. And, you know, that's life. I got to make it work. I got to make life work on $2,000. And it just wasn't, because like even my lifestyle now, is like 6 to 10K every single month. If I don't make at least 6 to 10K every single month, it ain't happening. And I can't expect my wife to go work. She could go work 2 jobs. I could go work 2 jobs. We can't make $10,000 a month working 2 jobs each. Mm-hmm. And so I realized, okay, the only way is entrepreneurship. I want to live in Cabo. I want to run my own business. I've got to get into entrepreneurship. I've got to start talking to more people. Yeah. And so it all came down to networking. I started networking, and then I got into a bigger coaching program. And that was the game changer. That was the one that really took me from where I was to where I am. And it was a business coaching program, but there was a lot of mindset stuff in it. Sure. And so it was this guy, Joe Kaplan. It was $10,000 to join this program. Then it was $1,000 a month to stay in the program. And then they had this inner circle program for $3,000 a month. Okay. I got into that inner circle program for $3K per month. After paying the 10K, after paying the 1K for a couple months, I jumped into that inner circle program, started going to the masterminds, went to Costa Rica, met with all these people. I remember when I went to that Costa Rica trip, I came back and I made $50,000 in a weekend after that trip. And then I started to realize, oh my God, dude, anybody can do this. Anybody can go from where I was to where I am. And it's like, dude, do you want to know what it's like to make $50,000 in a weekend? Because I can show you what it's like to make $50,000 in a weekend.
Sure.
It just takes the right kind of mindset. And so, like I said, I mean, I read No More Mr. Nice Guy. And when I read that book, I got pissed. I'm like, dude, I'm a passive aggressive asshole. Like, that's what I've been doing this whole time. I've been dealing with all these tendencies, realizing I had no idea. It was all under the surface. And so I read that book and it pulled me forward a little more. And I stopped doing that stuff. Then I read The Unplugged Alpha, and I got even more pissed off at women. Then I read The Irrational Male Religion, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, women are the enemy. Women suck. Women are hypergamous. You can't trust any of them. They all suck. I went from that point to like, okay, women are precious. Women are gifts.
Yeah.
You need to understand how that symbiosis works. And once I started to understand that, my relationship took off, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my kids. Dude, I was out with my boy last night and we were out just getting hamburgers. And like, he freaking grabs me and hugs me. He's like, I love you, Dad. And I'm just like, out of nowhere. And I'm like, and I'm just trying to have a good time with him, just trying to bond. We're just trying to have conversations and just chill, you know? And just like, dude, I would kill for those moments more often. And it's like, and I finally understand what it takes to make those moments happen. I don't even have to try. I just have to live by this philosophy and live this life and follow this blueprint and this map that we've put in place. And that stuff just happens.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to wrap somebody's mind around it. It's like, but the biggest thing is to understand, like, dude, I was where you are. I was struggling with all the same stuff. I was in a basement jerking off every single day, smoking weed, watching Netflix, not doing anything, hypnotizing myself into thinking that I was, but I wasn't. And at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, well, eat, drink, and be merry. We only have one life. Let's just live it. And I remember going from that to that to that, and then realizing, okay, you know, discipline's really not all that hard. It's really not. It's just doing consistent things every single day and being intentional. Because the thing is everybody is so unintentional and so inconsistent. So the first thing that we do when somebody gets to our program is, okay, now you got to get intentional, and now you got to be consistent, right? Now you have to take consistent action. Now it's all about accountability. Right. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying me for my blueprint. You're not paying me for my map. You're paying me to make you do the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like that. So you at some point you made this shift where you knew that whatever road you were going down was the road to the masses, work. Yeah. And I'm not knocking anybody who decides to have a job. It's fine. If it fulfills you, or if you're just like Alex Hormozi even says this, listen,
entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
It is not. And if you can be a CEO making $400,000 or $500,000 a year, which is actually easier than entrepreneurship, do that or work for something. So like you might be a doctor watching this or a CEO or whatever. We're not knocking that. If you enjoy it, great. But at some point, I guess we're really trying to figure out that there comes a point in a man's life where, and I would encourage men to understand that if nobody cares about your mental health, then that's a great position to be in. It's almost like if you started a business and nobody knew you, and that your next competitor, everybody knew them. Well, you have a way like, okay, what can I do to out-compete him? Well, I can get personal service because this competitor's got 20 locations. You're never going to see the owner. Sure. I can do this. So it's never about, I can't do these things. Ask yourself and reframe it. Well, what can I do? Like, what can I start with? Yeah. And I know the mountain seems huge. And I know if you do have this thought of you're not good enough, or people aren't accepting of me, or I'm just unlovable. Believe me, I understand these emotions that you're going through, but flip it and say, how true is that? Like nobody will ever love me. How true is that? And I always like to ask, but the people that I'm coaching is always ask that. How true is that? When you say something that comes out and you don't even know why you said it, like, all men are scum, because I coach some women and I hear that and I'm like, how true is that? You met every single man on the planet and you deduce that they're scum? Well, no. All the men that you've dated are scum. Yes. All the men that you dated are scum. You picked.
Right.
Yes.
You had control of it.
You want to keep breaking it down to that and then realize, okay, this is on me. The choices that I've made got me to where I am right now. That's it. If you can own that, if you can own the position you are in your life and say, yep, I'm 32 years old, I'm still living at home, I don't have a girlfriend, I own that I haven't done much in my life so far. Now you're in a position, you've just mirrored this, you've just mirrored yourself. The second question is, or there's two parts to this, do I even want to change? So if you're not willing to change and you just, wanting is free. I want a girlfriend. I want a kick-ass house. I want a boyfriend. Wanting is free. It's in the action that's going to cost you. And so a lot of people want a lot of things, but they're not willing to do it. They're not willing to put in the time,
right,
and the energy and the effort. And if you are having a mental health issue, feeling anxiety, feeling loneliness, stress, anxiety, depression, grief, loss, body image, all of these are mental health issues, but you're not willing to say, yeah, I'm not where I want to be right now, but I am fearfully and wonderfully made by God, and I know God doesn't make garbage, so I have to start with that premise. I got off course. I do want to change. What are some of the things I can do to make that change?
That's
if you
it.
really ask that, done.
It's just feedback.
Your brain will switch just like that and start giving you information you can do to now reconfirm new confirmation bias. You almost are creating an alter ego. I'm giving you the hack right now. You want to create somebody outside of yourself, an alter ego that is in definition of the type of man or woman that you want to be, and then ask that person, what do I need to do? Because that person has all the positive traits that you want. But here's the hack. It's inside of you now. You're just not willing, or you don't see that person. I hope this makes sense to you guys, because you can do this yourself.
Well, the biggest problem, I think, like the precursor to that, I think, is that people put themselves last. Like in every single scenario, they always put themselves last. And so that they don't think that what they're worried about or what they're concerned about is the most important thing, because they're so focused on making other people happy. They're so focused on doing the right things deemed by society so everybody will like them, doing the right things so their parents are happy and proud of them, and doing this and that and the other thing for their partner so their partner's happy, and doing this and that and the other thing for their kids so their kids are happy. But they never turn that around and say, okay, well, am I happy? Am I happy in my life? Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Am I even happy with this person that I'm with?
Yeah.
Am I happy in the job that I'm climbing up? Am I even on the right ladder? Am I climbing the right ladder, for one thing? And so that's the thing too, is if you're climbing up the wrong ladder, you're going to get to the top of that ladder and realize, dude, this sucks. This sucks. This whole thing sucks. I don't even want to be here. I don't want to be around any of these people. This whole life sucks. And they end up just thinking, oh, this is life. And so they're just like, how do I escape this? And then they start getting to a point where, like, because you've been so unintentional with it. You've been too busy making everyone else happy that you never really stop to think about, like, am I even happy doing this? Do I even care about this? Do I have the courage that it takes to pull myself from this life? I'm not happy with the person that I'm with. Do I have the courage to pull myself out of that situation?
Sure.
Or do I have so much trauma in my life that I'm so codependent on this person that I can't see what my life looks like without them? I'm so scared to even face that life without this person. People say, like, they stay so stuck in their conditions because they just don't love themselves enough to pull themselves out of it. So you can say, okay, well, nobody else cares about me. Nobody else loves me. But do I care about me? Do I love me? Do I want to change my situation? Because I might have to have some courage to do that. I might have to have some courage to stop talking about people, to stop talking to people that don't benefit me. I might have to have some courage to quit that job that I hate every single day and move into something else. I might have to have some courage, and the courage is really just facing the discomfort of that thing, right? Yeah. So I might have to have some courage to leave this relationship that doesn't serve me so that I can see what's outside of it, so that I can see what's beyond that job, what is beyond these people, what is beyond this relationship, and say, okay, that's where I want to be. That motivates me. That's something that I really could see myself working towards. I hate my life for what it is. I need to have the courage to change these things that don't align with who I want to be, and realize that that's not selfish. Everybody's selfish. Everybody only cares about their own situation. Every single person on this planet, except for the people that are so traumatized that they're so focused on everybody else and making everybody else happy. Yeah. And that's most people, I think, find themselves in that kind of situation.
Yeah. No. So I did a video on this it's not going to be part of the YouTube content that we push out. I might touch upon it on a video, but it's interesting when we talk about men's mental health and how it is today versus how it used to be. Now, again, there's more access to between social media, and there's just more access to stimuli today between all the different channels, between porn, dating apps. There's more access. Well, you didn't have that back then, but you know what you didn't have back then either? This is something that I sort of, what's the word? It's not talked about. It's a form of therapy that all men inherently know, all men inherently do, but it's not talked about. And it's getting physicality. I'm going to break it down. Back in the day, I'm going to just use a blacksmith. If you don't know what a blacksmith is, then Google it, because I'm not going to explain it. But just use something like that. They're working with steel. They're working with and they're forging it. If they have a bad day, maybe they're bitching, their wife bitched at them.
Yeah, that's what
they get to take it out on steel, right? They're physically getting out their emotion. They're able to regulate. Men can regulate, and it's one of our biological imperatives. We regulate our emotions through our physical activity.
Truth.
This is one of the reasons why the increase in men's mental health has increased, because we're not in our bodies. A lot of the jobs are online now. Yeah. A lot of these jobs that men have.
I deal with that daily. Yeah.
They're not physical jobs. Now, am I saying if I'm an electrician, I can take it all out on, my craft? No, but you get to work with your hands. You get to think.
Keeps your brain busy.
And you're also talking to other people about a particular project. So again, if you're an electrician, you're figuring out what the problem is. Maybe you're building a house and you're talking to the plumber. You have to understand that this is some of the best forms of regulation of your emotions that men can deal with. Also, a lot of men don't have hobbies. They don't have extracurricular activities. So again, my grandfather had a huge fucking garden. He was 6'4". He was a badass in the military, but he was very calm. And he used to go into the garden when he was upset because it got him grounded. He even told me this. He says, listen, I can't rush gardening. You can't just rush it. You have to plant, you have to water, you have to weed. It helped him understand patience. Do we have patience anymore? No, not unless you're into gardening or you're a farmer or anything like this.
Right.
Think about maybe you are a computer programmer now, but your hobby, you love building stuff. Ask yourself, When I'm frustrated, do I go I want to build something. I want my mind and my hands. I want to work on it. Younger people don't have this anymore. So they get more frustrated because they don't know how to do these things, but their body's telling them, go work. This is why I always tell guys, one of the best ways you can regulate, and it's not through talking. And listen, I bill people through talking. So do therapists. That's one of the ways I make my money, through talking. But I'm also going to tell you, and it's probably going to hurt me, but I love you guys to know this. We men don't do well talking. We do better working. We regulate emotions much better through physical activity.
Truth.
And not talking. So here's another one. Let's say you love fishing and your buddy's calling you. Him and his wife have been fighting, and you invite your buddy to go fishing with you. You guys, I guarantee you, don't talk about the problem. You go fish.
No, not at all. No, there's no way.
But guess what? Your buddy's going to feel better, go back to his wife more grounded, just by being the energy of another man, doing something they enjoy. We don't need to talk. This is why I tell like my girlfriend, she talks a lot. I just did a video on this. I do another video. Men, we get told by society, oh, you're not opening up to me.
Yeah.
You need to go talk to a therapist. This doesn't work. We need to talk. No, it doesn't fucking work for men. You need to find a hobby. You need to get into the gym. You need to get your energy in a place where if you feel mad, go box. If you feel frustrated, go take it out in the gym. Once this gets out of you, this energy gets out of you, you already regulated your emotions.
No, it's gone. Yeah.
Your emotions don't change. Men, just like women, have the same emotions. And it's complete garbage when women tell men, well, you don't understand your emotions. Bullshit. We actually understand our emotions much better than women do.
We're a lot simpler, man.
We don't talk about our emotions. So a thing that I want you guys to do,
like women sit and worry about it. They sit and focus on the problem. They think that the problem has to be talked about. It has to be broken down. That kind of stuff.
Well, it is, but women do better talking. So this is why they go to therapy.
That's how they solve it.
Or they just talk to their girlfriends and they go have coffee and they chit chat. They do better through communication.
Let's see.
Men do not.
Men are more avoidant. Like you'll notice that if you start nagging at a man, he's gonna leave. In most cases, like he's gonna get out of that situation. Like he doesn't even want to deal with this. Like I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna go do something else. I need to get out of this situation. Men are avoidant. Like men will completely avoid it to the very end. Like they don't want to deal with it. They don't even want to think about it. They don't even want to talk about it. None of it. In most cases, that's how I am in most cases too. Like, dude, just let me deal with it. Like, leave me alone and just let me do what I'm doing. And if you will just leave me alone, I will be okay. Like that in most cases, that's the case. It's just a lot of the time, people in my life, like my mother, my mom, other people in my life, like they want me to care more about things that I don't care about. Right. And I just don't care about them. I could try. Yeah. But I don't. I'm sorry. Like the things that you care about and the things that you think are important, the things that you think are the problems, I'm sorry. I don't care about them the same way that you do. Right. I'm here. I'm committed. I will do my thing. But if you would just leave me alone and like not care if I care about all these things that you do, I think would be okay. And like I think that a lot of people, especially in relationships, like if the man would just go do his thing and if she would just go do her thing, most of the problems in the relationship would fall right away.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And some men obviously do better through talking. I'm not pigeonholing all men. Sure. But I can tell you, ladies, if you're watching this and maybe you have a boyfriend or a husband who's like this, who you think needs to talk to somebody, the chances are they actually just need to get back to gardening, learning to
focus on themselves,
going to the gym. They need space away, and it's not talking. Most men just don't do well with talking.
Well,
and it's proof actually in the jobs that we do. Look at most of the jobs that women lean into the most: nursing, teaching. It tells you that women are more interested in people. And if you're interested in people, kind of by default, you need to communicate. They have better communication skills than men. Men are interested in things. This is why we built the world. Skyscrapers. This is why we invent stuff. We're interested in things. So if we're interested in things, that means we can regulate our emotion through things, not through talking.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. But therapy doesn't work that way. Some of the therapy, if you want to call it, that I have guys do that I coach is get into the gym. Well, what does that have to do with this? Get into the gym, like certain stuff.
Men need purpose and direction. Like that's the number one thing. Like, yes, they need to be kind of left alone, but at the same time, they need purpose and direction. They need a drive. They need somewhere to go, something to aim towards, something to put it all into. Like they need to see themselves making progress. Because if they don't have purpose and direction and they don't see progress, they're depressed. They don't even know what to do. Like they're completely lost, directionless, confused. Yeah. And in most cases, they just don't know what that purpose and direction is. And nobody can tell you what it is. Nobody can tell you what to focus on. Yeah. It's all in you. Like you have these nagging things inside of you that drive you insane, and you ignore them in favor of doing what you do. And that's where the tension comes from. What we do is get to work on figuring out, okay, what are those things that you're ignoring? Like what exactly are the things that you think you really would rather be doing that you ignore because you think you have to take care of your family, you have to be focused on this, you have to be focused on that. And like, yes, you do need to take care of all those things. But the problem is you're prioritizing them over yourself. And men do that naturally. Men just do that. They just naturally prioritize everything and everyone over themselves because they're always about, how can I take care of the community? How can I take care of the family? How can I make sure everybody has what they need? But then they end up becoming these codependent people pleasers, borderline nice guys. And then it gets to a point where they're just not even living for themselves anymore. And so they feel lost. They feel directionless. They feel depressed. They feel like nobody cares. They feel like they have no friends because they're killing themselves to take care of everything and everybody else. And they're not getting that same kind of respect back because everybody else in the scenario really is not a man. You're the man in the scenario. So you're the guy who has the burden of performance. And so at the end of the day, everybody's looking at you to perform. Everybody's looking at you to be a man. Everybody's looking at you to man up and step up and stop having so many emotions.
Yeah.
The reality is there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just that you just need direction and purpose. And so here's the thing. A lot of guys in this situation, especially the younger guys under 25, they're going to cite that social anxiety. They're going to say, I have social anxiety. I struggle to make friends. I don't know who to talk to. I don't even know what I want. And so in most cases, that's why you feel the way that you do. And so it's just correcting one of those things at a time. Okay, well, what do you think you would rather be doing? What do you like doing? What do you have hobbies in? And this is going to take time to figure out. Like this is going to take you a few months of really trial and error to really get into it. But the reality is you're not going to make friends by going to the bar. You're not going to make friends by going to concerts, this, that. You're not going to make friends by going to raves, parties, whatever. Sure, those are places where you can make friends. But are those the kinds of friends that you want? Because if you really like woodshop, you need to find friends who do woodshop. If you really like fishing, you need to find friends who enjoy fishing. If you really like cars, you got to find friends who are into cars. Whatever it is, if you like programming, find a programming cohort, man. Find other men that are doing the same stuff that you're doing. They're doing it differently. They're doing it in a way that you would like to be doing it. Maybe they're way better at you than you at it, right? That's the right place to be. That's exactly where you need to be. Because if you're around a whole bunch of men who are doing what you want to do and they're way better than you at it, that's the place. Dude, those are the guys you got to hang out with. You found it. But the only way you're going to find that place for you is by getting out there and trying these things, going to the gym, going out and talking to people, networking, getting into the places where the people who are doing the things that you would rather be doing are doing that stuff in spades.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes time.
It does. It takes time and you don't want to inundate yourself with so many goals. Like I want to do this.
Yeah.
This,
you can't do it all at once.
One thing and keep beating on that until it basically becomes part of who you are and then move to the next thing. And so the biggest thing I always tell guys, and I know I sound like a broken record, mental health. Think about it. whether it's depression, anxiety, stress, loneliness, it doesn't matter what type of mental health you have. I'm not saying all the time, and I'm not saying 100% of the time, but most of that problem that you have or that you think you have can be corrected getting back into your body, getting back into the gym. And I know you're like, oh God, Jared, here we go, back into the gym. Yes, because we're in our heads way too much. Mental health, you're in your head, you're overthinking. You never connect. You get to the point where you have separation between your head and your body, and they don't talk anymore. Going to the gym forces your head and your body to start talking again. I know it sounds weird and wahoo, yoo-hoo, but you can start Googling that and look. You have to reconnect yourself. And because most people are in their head, just the way we are, we're a computer society now. We're using our head. We're not using our body like we used to.
Right.
We need to now think, well, wow, my anxiety goes up through the roof. I'm always in my head. Well, what if I just use my body a little bit and beat it up a little bit going into the gym or running, or bike? You're basically using the rest of you, your body. You don't really need your mind for it. And that's what the point is. You're turning off your mind. You're going for a run if you enjoy running. My girlfriend likes running. Fuck, I ain't running anywhere. Maybe you like to go for a hike. Go to the gym. None of this requires you to think a lot. You get to turn off your brain and just get into the gym or get into whatever. And you're able to center yourself. Not the first time you do this, but little by little by little, that thing, running, hiking, fishing, that thing actually becomes an anchor for you for your emotional health. Now you need it. You might think that's stupid. Why do guys fish all the time? If that's what calms them, if that's what brings them peace,
reset.
Let them fish. It's not that hard. Like, it's not like they're out, it's really not that hard for guys to understand. Yeah, get back into my body. That's really, I'm in my head too much. This is really why mental health for men is skyrocketing, these limiting beliefs that we have, because we're not in our body.
They're isolating themselves.
Doing the things that we used to do. And so I invite you to try that. Maybe you had a hobby that you want to start, or you used to do it, and all of a sudden you don't do it and you feel different. Go back to the hobby. I bet you'll feel better. You're like, oh shit, I do like this. I don't care if you like collecting buttons. I think it's weird, but if you like doing it and it gives you joy,
it doesn't matter what it is, man.
Like, buttons. Be the best button collector ever.
See, I've met guys that collect guitars. I've met guys that love working on cars, specific things with cars too. I've met guys that love working on simply like brake pads. I've met guys that love just doing car wraps. I've met guys that love just like souping up their car and like custom cars, tuners, that kind of stuff. So many things there. I've met guys that love deep sea fishing. I've met guys that hate deep sea fishing, but they like fishing out of the river. They like fly fishing and that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, the whole point is there's lots and lots and lots of different things to do. There's lots of different things that you can make money from. A lot of people will do things just to make money, but dude, there's a million ways to make $1 million.
Sure.
There's at least 10 different ways to make $10 million just from fishing, man. Yeah. And so that's what I can tell you is, like, it doesn't matter what you like doing, just figure out what it is and then figure out how to work that into your life more. And then once you get there, like, dude, you'll start to just feel happy by default. Like, there's nothing there. Like, you're not worried about all these things that you're worried about before, because now you're just doing more of the things that really actually speak to you. Like, when I'm out fishing, I just like the peace. I just like the peace. I like the quiet. I like watching the waves. I like watching the sun dance on all the waves, on everything. I like watching the clouds go by and just being in the moment, just being there. It's not about reeling in the fish. I mean, granted, when I bring in a 40-pounder, like, dude, that's exciting. That's awesome. It makes it all worth it. But that experience, just being out there, being in the moment, and just like not having any worries. There's no marketing campaigns. There's no clients. There's nobody out there. It's just me and this fish, and I'm just enjoying my time. Mm-hmm. That's just the fishing for me. Another thing for me was archery. Dude, I freaking love archery. Yeah. I like guns and shooting and that kind of stuff too. Don't get me wrong. But dude, I freaking love archery. Mm-hmm. Like, just something about it. I like going to the course and just firing off like 40 arrows just to kind of just start feeling right in the world, man. And I do. Like I start feeling like I'm firing all my problems away one arrow at a time.
Yeah.
And by the end of it all, I walk out of there an hour later and I'm like, dude, I feel amazing. Like if I had an archery course in my backyard, man, I'd be out there every day doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Some people, it's motorsports. Some people like to get out and go up on the trails and go to the top of the mountain and go look at all the world beneath them and stuff too. Some people like hiking. Other people like to just go to the gym. Some people like to go to the gym for specific things like calisthenics and like Zumba or whatever, like dancing, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Like just get active, go do things, go try new things. Maybe you like cooking. I like cooking. I freaking love cooking. Yeah. That's one thing too. Like my wife left and like, okay, now she's not cooking anymore. Like, I get to cook now. And like, I was excited about it. Like a lot of guys would look at that and be down and be like, oh, now I got to cook for myself. Now I got to eat out every night. Now it's all McDonald's for me because my wife left. Dude, learn how to cook, man. It's freaking awesome. It's fun. It's fun playing with the spices, that kind of stuff, the different meats, trying to get different flavors out of things, man. Like it's scientific. Yeah. But it gets your brain worried about those things and not all the things that are like keeping you hung up on everything. It's not worried about whether I'm adequate or not, whether anybody likes me or not, or whether I'm doing the things that I want to do and I'm feeling fulfilled or not, or whether any like my kids even like me or not, or whatever. Like there's a lot of different things that people worry about, but there's a lot of things that you can occupy your mind with that are not those things. And just being physical for men is the key thing, because when men are physical, the only thing they can think about is the thing they're doing. Like it's one thing at a time when you're being physical.
Yeah. I was going to say, you might want to preface my wife left, but add just to go to her mom's. You might not want to tell the audience.
No, I'm just talking in that scenario. Like a lot of men will get to a point where like they get so used to the wife taking. And I realize this too because my wife's on vacation right now. She's up.
Yeah, well, when you said it, I'm like, you might want to tell them that.
No. So that's the thing. My wife's up on vacation right now, but I've realized this because now I'm here with my son and I'm having to take care of him. I'm cooking all the food. Yeah. I'm doing all the laundry. I'm doing all the cleaning. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is a cool challenge. I like this. Yeah. But the thing is too, is then there's that space and that attraction grows in space. And it's like, man, now we really want to be together. It's like that. So it's like, everything just works the way that it's supposed to, but I'm happy. Yeah. I'm chill as a cucumber. She's been up there for a month. We're probably going to be another 2 months before we come back together because we live abroad. I'm taking care of things here, wrapping it all up, and then we're going to come back together in a house in the U.S. That's neither here nor there. But at the same time, I'm learning things because of the space. I'm learning things about myself. Like, okay, I love cooking. I love taking care of the house. I love taking care of my son. I love going out and bonding with him and doing things, and it's an opportunity to do those things. Yeah. Some people could look at it as a negative, but dude, I love cooking. Learn how to cook. I love doing that stuff. My son is starting to love cooking because of it. He's taking care of himself more, and I'm seeing him step up more. He reflects me. My wife reflects me. So the more that I do, the more ambitious I get, the more that I want to achieve, I see it rise up in them, everybody around me.
Yeah. No, like you said, you got to do what you enjoy to do. Get a little bit curious again, guys. Yeah. Don't look at, again, this mental health thing as it's just another perspective I want to share with you guys because it's not talked about. And the reason why it's not talked about is because you can't monetize it. Me as a coach can't say, I'm going to bill you an hour, go to the gym, and then we're done. We have to discuss things and come up. And there is a place for that. But what I really need you guys to understand, this is why. It's in the why. Why am I feeling more lonely? Why do I have this high stress and all this anxiety and depression? A lot of this for men gets solved by getting back into learning new hobbies, learning new skills, going to the gym, again, gardening if you like it, whatever it is that you like to do. My brother's a fisherman. He loves to fish. And I know he likes to fish, not because he enjoys catching fish. He enjoys the peace. He enjoys the quiet. He probably is thinking, he's probably thinking about some issues when he goes out and fish. But don't let therapists, coaches, don't let anyone say the only form that's going to help you is talking, because it's not. There is another form that I want you to try. And fuck, guys, it's free. Like, you can try this and back test this yourself right now. And if it works, well, then go ahead and give us we'll send you a bill, Well,
the thing is, for me is talking, right? a lot of men are encouraged to talk, especially when they're in therapy. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's really not.
No.
The problem is when you start talking and you start coming up with these things that you think might be problems, and they start holding on to them. The therapist holds on to that. Your wife holds on to this. Your girlfriend holds on to that. Like, oh, you think this is a problem. You think this is a problem. You need to work on this. You need to work on this. You need to work on this. And they give you this plan. You start working on these things that you didn't really care about, honestly. Like, they weren't really problems. But now you're working on these things that you thought might be a problem, but they weren't really problems.
Right.
And now you're not happy doing that. And it's like, for men, the thing that therapists and a lot of people don't understand about men is like, dude, like, we don't sit and create problems. We don't want there to be problems. It is in our nature as men to solve the problems. Right. And in a lot of cases, that can get us in trouble, because if you try to solve your girlfriend's problems and she doesn't want them solved, you're going to get in trouble. She's going to get mad. It's going to happen. It's just what's going to happen. And but like I said, as men, it's in our nature to try and fix things. It's in our nature to like solve the problems, and we just want problems solved. We don't want there to be problems. So when you start talking to your girlfriend, you start talking to your wife, you start talking to the therapist, you start talking to everybody else, they start to see you as a nag. Like, they start to see you as somebody who's just constantly complaining.
Right.
And I've dealt with this. Like, everybody in my whole family, my whole life has told me, like, dude, you're just constantly complaining. It's all you're ever doing. I don't want to be around you. And then I realized, oh crap, I'm bringing this energy into everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I started to just focus on it myself and just clean it up myself and just stop being so focused on so many problems and just let it all go and realize that, dude, I don't have any problems. Everybody else has problems. I'm just trying to solve everybody's problems. That's why I feel the way I do. Screw everybody else. I'm focused on me. What do I need? And then everything just starts to kind of unfold from there. I've dealt with it myself. That was my experience, at least.
Yeah, man. So I think we got this one covered pretty well. I'd love to hear your comments below. If you guys have them, if you're watching this, drop us a comment. We definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. We're getting more and more people watching this.
Yeah.
If you guys have any ideas for content, or anybody's invited to join us. If you want to join a live on a specific topic that maybe you're stuck in, or just something that you're going through and you don't mind being part of the live, we can invite you and we can all talk about it. So this particular part of this discussion, as long as it's something that you're open to talk about and understanding that it's going to be live and we don't edit it, then that's fine. But if you do have something you want to talk about, you just want to join us in a conversation about something, feel free, message us, let us know, and we'll get you on. You know, we'd love to have more people part of this dialogue in creating. So it's definitely 100% open to all of you guys.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to get into our free community and stuff too, and you want to have the conversation over there, and by all means, jump over there. We're happy to have the conversation with you guys. But other than that, that's all we have for you guys this week. We will be back again with you guys next week with another juicy topic. Let us know if there's anything in particular you guys want us to cover.
Sir, have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, guys.